still receiving. Still receiving. Still receiving. That look, don't explain it, just that look. Something moved, didn't ask permission. Crossed the room without a sound. Landed somewhere I can't map out, can't write down. Almost missed it, almost let it go. Something underneath I needed to know. First signal and all that noise. Not a word, more like a voice. Underneath the voice, tuned to something nobody else receives. First signal, and I already believe. Half a second, too long, you looked. Half a second, that's all it was, that's all it took. No announcement, no declaration, just the frequency finding its station. Could've looked away, kept it clean, but I walked straight into whatever this means. First signal and all that noise. Not a word, more like a voice. Underneath the voice, tuned to something nobody else receives. First signal, and I already believe. Every language starts with the sound, before the meaning, before the noun. I don't know what we're building, but something's been found. Something's been found. Something's been found. Still receiving. Still receiving. I look for you, but if I want for no, still receiving. That means I see you, and that means let's go. Didn't study it, just became clear. The way you learn a city, the longer you live there. No punctuation, no paragraph break, just the subject and the verb, and everything at stake. Eye contact grammar, the sentence before the word, the clearest form of language that nobody else has heard. A raised brow is a question, a pause is a reply. We wrote a whole conversation in the space of one held eye. Across the table you told me something was funny. Before you smiled I already knew. Translation was instant, no lag, no delay. Fluency built from paying attention your way. Not reading into things, reading the actual thing. Every glance a complete thought, every silence offer. Eye contact grammar, the sentence before the word, the clearest form of language that nobody else has heard. A raised brow is a question, a pause is a reply. We wrote a whole conversation in the space of one held eye. every page turned fully legible. Everything earned. You read me before I've written the sentence fully legible. And I don't know if I'm ready for this. The terrifying thing about being fully known is that you can't unknow it once someone has seen you, actually seen you. You have to decide if you're going to stay visible or disappear. I'm staying visible. Still visible, still here. Fully legible. Fully here. Used to have a whole system, the careful word and the strategic pause, the version of the story that kept the real one at a safe distance. That system doesn't work around you, not because you push, because you don't, because the space you hold makes pretending feel exhausting. Nothing to translate, just the actual thing. Nothing to translate, just whatever this brings. No managed distance, no curated version. Nothing to translate, just the raw immersion. Said something yesterday unfiltered before I could edit it back. You just nodded like you've been waiting for that version of me to arrive. The relief of it is almost unbearable to be received without the performance. Nothing to translate, just the actual thing. Nothing to translate, just whatever this brings. No managed distance, no curated version. Nothing to translate, just the raw immersion. I've spent so long being the edited version that the unedited one feels strange in my mouth, but you receive it like it's the only version you ever wanted. And maybe that's the most loving thing anyone has ever done. Just the actual, to avoid the language. You know the deflection dressed as a joke. You know the actual feeling underneath the one I'm showing you that's not always comfortable. Intimacy isn't just warmth, it's also accountability. To be known is to be held to what you actually are. Known costs something, can't pretend anymore. Known costs something, no retreat to the shore of ambiguity, of managed maybe. Known costs something, and I'm paying it daily. You caught it gently, the thing I was doing, the thing I do when I'm scared. Didn't make it a moment, just named it quietly and waited for me to catch up. That's the signals mean someone knows when you're misusing them. Known cause something, can't pretend anymore. Known cause something, no retreat to the shore. Paying it daily. I used to think intimacy was just warmth and ease. It is those things, but it's so this. The moment someone knows you well enough to hold you to your own language, and you let them, you actually all of it, the legibility, the cost, the unedited moments, the signals misread, incorrectly read, and everything in between. You're still here looking at me the same way. Exposure without consequence is just transparency. Exposure with someone who stays anyway, that's something else entirely. Tender exposure, seen and still chosen. Tender exposure, nothing broken, just the raw version, received with care. Tender exposure, and you're still there. I showed you the part I usually archive, the one I don't let people near. You held it like it was the best part, like it was the part you came for, to be received in your most unguarded state, and have someone leaning closer that changes you. Tender exposure, seen and still chosen. Tender exposure, nothing broken, just the raw version, received with care. Tender exposure, and you're still there. I think I spent from the inside, not broken into, just opened from somewhere I forgot I had access to. Grace is the only word for someone who reads your heart and doesn't use it against you. Readable heart. You found the frequency. Readable heart beneath the vocabulary. You read the thing I don't have words for. Readable heart, and you still came toward me. I always thought the heart was the thing you protected last, kept behind all the language, all the signals, all the clever deflection. But you walked through all of it quietly and found it anyway, and it was okay. It was okay. It was okay. Could have retreated after all of that exposure. Could have pulled back to a safer distance, rebuilt the managed version, reclaimed the ambiguity. I know how to do that, I've done it before. But something shifted in the exposure, something decided visibility was worth more than safety. Visible, I'm choosing visible. Visible, no more invisible. I could disappear back behind the language, but I wanna be seen. I'm choosing visible. Telling you the real thing before the edited version, letting the look say exactly what it means. Not the diplomatic version, not the safe translation, the actual signal, unmediated. This is what the language was always for, not to hide and to finally speak from. Visible, I'm choosing visible. Visible, no more invisible. I could disappear back behind the language, but I wanna be seen. I'm choosing visible. There's a difference between being seen and choosing to be seen. One happens to you, the other is the bravest thing I know how to do. I'm doing it, I'm standing here in the full light of your knowing, and I'm not moving, not moving. Not moving. Not moving. Choosing something that doesn't need to be said again after the exposure. The quiet arrives after the exposure. Something survives, not just survives. Deep in something in the after that wasn't there before. After the exposure, I know what we're for. We don't reference it, don't make it a moment. It just lives in us now. The fact of being known, the fact of being stayed for, folded into the ordinary of how we move through a room together. The most important things don't need to be revisited, they just become part of the foundation. After the exposure, the quiet arrives. After the exposure, something survives, not just survives. Deep in something in the after that wasn't there before. After the exposure, I know what we're for. I used to think the exposure was the thing, the dramatic moment of being fully seen. But the real thing is the after, the ordinary morning. After the extraordinary night of being known. That's the thing, that's the whole thing. The ordinary after, the ordinary still here. Something runs between us, like an underground sign. You ordered what I was thinking, didn't say a word. The agreement happened quietly, before it could be heard. No announcement, no negotiation, just a mutual decision made without translation. Ambient agreement, the kind that doesn't speak, living in the space between ordinary and deep. We both just know the way a room knows a light. Ambient agreement settled in for the night. Settled in for the night. You needed to ask. We filed it away like a key to a lock we'd keep. The inside joke, our first private word, the thing between us that the room never heard. A small monument built from a shared second. The inside joke and everything it beckoned. It's a reference, a shorthand, a code, one word and we're back there on that same road. It multiplies quietly, becomes its own language, built from the moments too good to abandon. Started as nothing, a glance and a smile, but nothing between us. Stay small for a while. The inside joke, our first private word, the thing between us that the room never heard. A small monument built from a shared second. The inside joke and everything backing. Keep adding to it, this archive of ours, reference upon reference, building through the hours. Someday it'll be a whole library that only we can read. Still laughing, still laughing. Signal anyone designed, not the system agreed. Just the thing you do that I happen to receive. Below the threshold of anyone else's attention, living in the frequency of our private intention. Micro signal, smaller than a word, bigger than a sentence in the space between heard. You don't have to say it, I already know. Micro signal, watch you move through me slow. The exhale before you disagree, the stillness before yes. The way your posture changes when you need to decompress. Don't analyze it, it just arrives. The fluency of someone who's been paying attention twice. Nobody taught this, nobody wrote it down. It lives in the body of someone who sticks around. has two keys and no one else's view. Only in this room does the language make sense. It's only in this room is everything this dense, with meaning shorthand, with the weight of the known. Only in this room do I feel fully home. Outside we speak the common tongue, the one the world can follow. But in here the words are different, deeper, not hollow. Reference nobody else would catch, a pause nobody else would read. In this room we're completely fluent, and everything we need doesn't travel, doesn't translate out loud. It only exists between us and the crowd. Only in this room does the language make sense. It's only in this room is everything this dense, with meaning shorthand, the weight of the known. Only in this room do I feel fully home. Two people can build a country that exists on no map, a sovereignty of signals you can never get back. Once you've spoken this language, the common one feels thin. Don't know your history, don't know your mystery. Still here, but I know the look you get when the conversation's drained. I know which silence means content, which one means you're gone. I know the joke before the punchline, and I've known it all along. Haven't earned this by any normal measure, but here it is regardless. This unscheduled treasure, fluent stranger, known before the knowing, familiar in the marrow before the seeds start growing. We skip some steps, or maybe steps don't matter. Fluent stranger before the formal chapter. You referenced something yesterday, I already had the context, not from a story you told me, but from reading the subtext. A strange gift to be legible so fast, like the language was already built, just waiting to be asked. Not deja vu exactly, more like recognition of something that was always there, waiting for permission. Stranger, known before the knowing, familiar in the marrow before the seeds start growing. We skip some steps, or maybe steps don't matter. Fluent stranger before the formal chapter. The strangest intimacy is the one that arrives uninvited, when two people realize they've already been decided by each other in the peripheral, long before the introduction. Still learning, already fluent. Still learning, already fluent. You always pause before the honest thing, like checking the weight of it before you let it sing. You always look left when you're deciding. I know that now, I know where you're hiding, not surveillance, not keeping score, just a natural result of paying attention more. Pattern recognition, the shape of you, emerging from the static, coming into view, not predicting you, just reading what's real. Pattern recognition, the most intimate deal. You laugh differently when you mean it. Shorter, quieter, I've learned to read it. You go still right before you change your mind. The kind of detail that takes time to find. Nobody handed me this map. I just kept showing up, kept watching, kept coming back. Pattern recognition, the shape of you, emerging from the static, coming into view, not predicting you, just reading what's real. Pattern recognition, the most intimate deal. To know someone's patterns is to know their rhythm. To know their rhythm is to move with them without asking, without explaining, just moving. Still learning the pattern. Still learning. Yeah. One word and you already know. Don't need the paragraph, don't need the full show. Just the first syllable and you're already there. The economy of us is beyond compare. Not lazy, not careless, just compressed into something that only works between us. Shorthand, one word for everything. Shorthand, the most efficient thing. We built a whole language from the parts we could drop. Shorthand, we don't know how to stop. You said that thing, and I said I know. Didn't need the backstory, didn't need the slow explanation of why or the context behind. We're already operating on the same mind. What took an hour now takes a breath. The compression of closeness, the fluency of depth. Shorthand, one word for everything. Shorthand, the most efficient thing. We built a whole language from the parts we could drop. Shorthand, we don't know how to stop. The beautiful thing about shorthand is what it proves. You only compress what you've already understood fully. We understand each other fully. I already know, already know, already know, already know. night in October. Your face changed before I even got it over the finish line. You were already there, and that memory breathing that air. Not nostalgia, something more active, a shared archive we keep adding to. The reference lands before the word. The reference, the most private thing heard. We have a whole library now of moments only we hold. The reference is worth more than gold. One yesterday, I felt it in my chest. That specific shorthand for that specific best night we had, or worst or strangest. Our references carry the whole of it. Every shared moment becomes a word. Every word becomes a word. The reference lands before the word. The reference, the most private thing heard. We have a whole library now of moments only we hold. The reference is worth more than gold. The archive keeps growing without us trying. Every moment filed, every reference multiplying. Someday it'll be the whole of us, compressed into signals only we can discuss. Still adding to it. Still adding. Said it right there in front of everyone. They heard the words but missed what was done. The meaning traveled from me to you. Invisible transit, only we knew. Not secretive, not performing, just operating on a frequency. The room is informed for, tone deaf to everyone else. They hear the surface, we hear the depth, broadcasting privately in a public room. Tone deaf to everyone else, and it feels like the only truth. You replied, looked completely normal to everyone watching, completely formal. But I caught it, the real answer hidden in plain sight, like a private dancer. The room was full, but we were alone in a language only we have known. Tone deaf to everyone else. They hear the surface, we hear the depth, broadcasting privately in a public room. Tone deaf to everyone else, and it feels like the only truth. There's something intoxicating about a private channel, something that makes the public world feel like small talk, feel like static, feel like nothing compared to this. Only frequency, only frequency. You weren't quiet, not the empty kind, the kind that's full something on your mind. Didn't feel it, didn't rush the air. Just let the silence say what was there. Not every silence is absence. Some of them are the loudest sentence. The pause that speaks louder than the word. The pause that speaks the clearest thing I've heard. We've learned each other's quiet, the texture of the still. The pause that speaks, and it always will. There's the pause before yes, the one before no, the one that means I need a minute to go somewhere inside myself before I come back. I know them all now. I know the exact weight of each silence, the color of each gap, the vocabulary of where the words collide. The pause that speaks louder than the word. The pause that speaks the clearest thing I've heard. We've learned each other's quiet, texture of the still. The pause that speaks, and it always will. Most people fear the silence, rush to fill the space. We learn to live inside it, to call it our place. The pause is not an absence, it's the most honest part. The pause is where we started, the pause is where we are still listening. Still listening. In the quiet. Still writing words. We have a word for that specific look you get when something catches you off the hook. We have a word for the comfortable third hour of a night that started simple and found its power. No dictionary carries this, no translation app, just the two of us filling the gap. Dictionary of us, words the world doesn't have. Dictionary of us, the private paragraph. We wrote it without writing, spoke it without sound. Dictionary of us, the most sacred ground. We have a name for the silence after laughing, the specific warmth of a night that keeps expanding. We have a term for when we both know, without saying that it's time to go. Every undefined feeling we just define, add it to the archive, yours and mine. Dictionary of us, words the world doesn't have. Dictionary of us, the private paragraph. We wrote it without writing, spoke it without sound. Dictionary of us, the most pages. Just woke up one day, already fluent in everything you mean, everything you're doing. Not translated, not decoded, just receive the way a native receives their mother tongue without thinking. Native speaker now, didn't see it coming. Native speaker now, the language just kept running through me until it was me. Until I stopped noticing where you end and I begin fluently. You said the thing I already felt it forming in my own chest before the morning of the sentence broke. I was already there. Native speaker breathing native air. This is what immersion does. This is what presence builds. A fluency so deep it lives beneath the skin. Native speaker now, didn't see it coming. Native speaker now, the language just kept running through me until it was me. Until I stopped noticing where you end and I begin fluently. The strangest moment in learning any language is when you stop translating and just speak. We stop translating somewhere between the first signal and now we just speak. Just speak. Just speak. Native now. Don't remember when I stopped being effort. Don't remember the last time I had to decipher. Just living in it now, breathing the frequency. No translation layer, just you, just me. Full immersion, no shallow end, no place to stand where it doesn't reach. Full immersion in the language of us. No surface left, no margin of trust. We're all the way in now, no looking back. Full immersion, and I don't want out of that. The world outside sounds different now, like everyone's speaking but not saying how they really feel, not saying the real thing. We're so far past that, past the preliminary. Can't remember surface, can't remember shallow. This depth is the only place I know to follow. Full immersion in the language of us. No surface left, no margin of trust. We're all the way in now, no looking back. Full immersion, and I don't want out of that. Immersion changes you permanently. You can't unlearn the language this deep. It lives in the body, in the automatic response, in the way you know before you know. You know. All the way in. just happened. Before the thought, before the choice, before the conscious anything. Not habit exactly, deeper than habit. The body learning what the mind hasn't caught up to yet. Automatic, the response before the reason. Automatic, beyond the thinking season. I don't choose this anymore, it just moves through me. Automatic, the most honest thing I know. You caught something I dropped before I knew I dropped it. You read the mood shift before I'd even clocked it. We're operating now below the level of intention, in the automatic space beyond comprehension. Reflexes just love that's had enough time to move below the surface into the spine. Automatic, the response before the reason. Automatic, beyond the thinking season. I don't choose this anymore, it just moves through me. Automatic, the most honest thing I know. The most intimate thing isn't the grand gesture, it's the automatic one, the one that happens before you can perform it, before you can decide if you're ready. It just happens, you're already there. Already there. Automatic. That look automatic. Across the room, full of people, full of noise, you found me with that look, the one that says I see you, not the performance of you, the actual you. Didn't need to cross the room, didn't need to speak. That look traveled everything. The look, the one that holds a conversation. The look beyond explanation, a whole paragraph in the space of a second. The look, and I felt it all the way down. All the way down. Not flirtatious, not performative, something more serious than that, more tender, more knowing. The look of someone who has learned your language and is using it precisely. The room disappeared for the length of it. Just that look, just that. The look, the one that holds a conversation. The look beyond explanation, a whole paragraph in the space of a second. The look, and I felt it all the way down. Some people go a whole lifetime without receiving that look, the one that says I know you, not who you perform, not who you explain. The I know you. Approximately 3 hours into a night with you, when everything slows and clarifies simultaneously. No word for that in any language I've checked. Untranslatable, not because it's complex, because it's specific to exactly this, exactly us. Untranslatable, the feeling with no name. Untranslatable, nothing else is the same. We live in the territory language hasn't reached yet. Untranslatable, and I don't wanna fix that. The Japanese have a word for the light through leaves. The Portuguese have one for a long in the breeze. But nobody has a word for what this is, this specific frequency, this private bliss. Maybe some things aren't meant for words. Maybe the untranslatable is sacred for that reason. Untranslatable, the feeling with no name. Untranslatable, nothing else is the same. We live in the territory language hasn't reached yet. Untranslatable, and I don't wanna fix that. I used to want words for everything. Now I understand that the most real things live just outside the reach of language, in the body, in the knowing, in the untranslatable space between us. No word for it. No word. Just this. Just this. Not a channel anyone chose, not a setting anyone knows. Just the bandwidth that emerged between two people, paying attention to what the other preferred. Broadcasting constantly, receiving constantly. The signal never drops between us. Private frequency, nobody else receives. Private frequency, the clearest thing I believe. We're transmitting on a wavelength the world can't locate. Private frequency, our own sovereign state. I feel you before you enter the room. The signal arrives before you do. Not supernatural, just deeply tuned to the specific frequency of you. The world is loud with interference. We cut straight through it on our own reference. Private frequency, nobody else receives. Private frequency, the clearest thing I believe. We're transmitting on a wavelength the world can't locate. Private frequency, our own sovereign state. Every intimate thing is just a frequency. frequency, found and held. We found ours somewhere between the first signal and the full immersion, and we've been transmitting ever since. Across the table, and I received the entire thing. The question, the answer, the follow-up, the thing underneath the question, the real thing, all of it in one look, 1 second. No time wasted on the preamble, straight to the center of what matters. The whole conversation in the space of a glance. The whole conversation, we don't leave anything to chance. Not because we rush it, because we don't need the time. The whole conversation, yours and mine. We used to need hours to get to the real thing. Now the real thing is the first thing. No warm-up, no circling, just direct transmission, just the whole conversation immediately. This is what fluency does, collapses the distance between the thought and the understood. The whole conversation in the space of a glance. The whole conversation, we don't leave anything to chance. Not because we rush it, because we don't need the time. The whole conversation, yours and mine. I think about all the words we used to need, all the explaining, all the translating, and now a look, just a look, contains all of it. We became the most efficient thing I've ever known. The whole thing, the whole thing, and a look, just a look. You didn't say anything for 40 minutes, and I understood every single minute. The comfortable one, the processing one, the one that means something's settling, the one that means you're almost ready. Not guessing, not projecting, just receiving the texture of your quiet. Fluent in your silence, every shade is still. Fluent in your silence, the space between the words we don't fill. I don't need the sentence, I have the pause. Fluent in your silence, that's the deepest clause. There's a silence after something hard, the one that needs no words to guard. It just needs presence, needs someone to stay. I've learned to be that in your specific way. Silence has a grammar just as complex as anything spoken. We're both fluent now, and what remains when the words are broken. Fluent in your silence, every shade is still. you ever said to me was nothing. Just your hand, just your presence, just the specific quality of your quiet that said, I'm here, I'm not leaving, I know.